What if I were to tell you that there exists a pizza that takes the best qualities of Detroit, Grandma style, and Chicago deep dish and melds them sort of like into one? It's called Chicago Pan Pizza, and I am fired up to share it with you today. My research took me far and wide all over the city. I made like a handful of variations of these pizzas, and this recipe that you're gonna see today is a culmination of all that work. But before we begin, let's take a field trip to one of the best pizzerias here in Chicago doing pan style pizza. All right, so we're here with Robert Malesky, owner and operator of Millie's Pizza in the Pan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope we can teach you a thing or two about pan pizza.
Heck yeah, man, let's do it.
Nice.
All right, pizza. Pizza is pretty much bread, right?
Yeah, so this is about a 63% hydrated dough. It's also blended. So it's bread flour. There's also whole wheat flour in there as well, about 10%. So once I mix it, I do let it bulk ferment for a few hours, and then I ball it up and I put it in these dough tins.
Dough tins, I've never seen these.
These are individual dough tins. They're kind of mostly from New York. They stack actually on top of each other.
So it's like the perfect portion.
Yeah, one on top.
You don't have to worry about
it
drip. That's a big problem that I have making pizza at home.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at other pizza makers and I'm like, how are your dough balls so tight if they've been in the fridge for 1-2 days?
Yeah.
So this is a great little thing, the dough
also
tray.
prevents them from touching one another and sticking in there. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do recommend buying these.
All right, so I mean, we're talking about pan pizza, right?
Yeah.
The pan is got to be important. What do we
Definitely.
got?
This is a Lloyd pan. Has a PTSK coating on there.
PTSK?
Yeah, which is kind of baked onto there.
Okay.
So these pans are quite expensive, but they last forever. The first thing I do is I'm going to spray the outside lid, the lip with Pam, and then I run my hand over that.
That's the insurance policy.
Kind of,
Got
yeah.
you.
And then you want to take the Crisco, just regular shortening.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You want to put that on the bottom.
No butter, no oil,
No
Crisco.
butter, no oil, yeah. So you want to take some of the Crisco and you want to run your hand over that Pam that was already there.
Pam to Crisco combo.
This kind of acts as a glue, the Crisco.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a glue, so when you stick the dough in there, it's going to kind of, I'll show you. So this is...
Oh, that comes right out of that
Yeah, it comes right out.
And so you're taking it all the way to the edge here?
Yeah, all the way to the edge.
All the way.
Yeah, and you want to kind of form a seal on the edge. That way you get that nice dough and that caramelized cheese separation. Yeah, and then you want to kind of dimple it to get some nice airflow over it so that it rises.
So the slap and press, and then the dimple.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then, so how long are we letting this rise?
Yeah, I'd probably let it rise for a couple hours. It depends on the weather, to be honest with you.
It's winter now.
Time,
right.
It's going to take a lot longer than if it was midsummer with a lot of humidity.
Yeah.
So for me right now, it's just probably going to be 2.5 hours to rise in there. Kind of want the dough to come up to about halfway up the pan.
That's a great rule of thumb
So once it's like about right here, double in size, basically.
Beautiful. This dough has been ready to go. Robert made this, what, 2.5 exactly hours ago?
Probably about 2.5. You can see that it's about halfway up the pan.
Yeah, a little halfway up the pan. It's definitely puffier. And then, do you not dimple up to the way edge? Because I noticed your pies.
I don't dimple it to the
So you dimple in almost like a frame.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so cheese time.
Yeah, this is the cheese time. It's part skim mozzarella. You want this to be cut so you can't really see your fingers through it.
Okay.
That's kind of how I know that it's like thick enough. So how we make this, we lay it in here like this. You want the cheese to come all the way to the top.
This is probably, would it be safe to say that this style of cheese laid in like this is like a technique that's almost like, it's what makes Chicago Pan Pizza pizza?
Yes.
Can we get one thing straight really quick? This is not deep dish pizza. This is the third style. There's deep dish, tavern, technically stuffed. This is pan pizza.
I don't consider this to really be deep dish. I consider it to be pan pizza.
Pounded a quarter for a 14-inch pie.
And that's pretty much it.
All right.
So then the next step is the sauce.
There you go. So what's in the sauce?
Ooh, I can't give you everything, but there's some oregano in there. There's some red pepper. It's kind of sweet. I mean, I use Stanislaus tomatoes. They're from California. It's my favorite brand. I think they're amazing. This is the 7-Eleven. I don't cook the sauce.
So it's an uncooked sauce. It's on the sweeter side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely raw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do around 2 ladles of this. I might do 3 actually, because this might be a smaller ladle.
That's 18 OZs for you following them along at home.
So this is how we're gonna do it. We just run it, and for me, I keep a ring. I don't run it all the way to the edge. Most pan pizza places do that, mainly because I don't really time how long it takes me to cook my pizzas. I do it all by eye. So that ring kind of gives me an identifier as to how far along the pizza's been cooked. And I also think it creates kind of a cheesy bread. Towards when you get to the edge.
God, that thing's picturesque already.
Yeah.
You're an artiste.
There you go. And then we put the toppings on there from here. You know, if I'm gonna make like a supreme pizza with mushrooms and peppers and onions, I'm gonna put that all on in the beginning so that it has time to cook. Yeah. But with this pizza, I use a different style of oven, convection oven.
That's we gotta talk about the ovens.
This isn't a traditional deck oven. Most people use the deck oven. So I use a convection oven which circulates air and it cooks at a hotter temperature. Good. So if you were to put all the toppings on there right away, like for instance, put the pepperoni on first, it's gonna be black and charred by the time that the pizza's done. So what we need to do is put all the vegetables on here, let that bake, and then towards the end, with maybe 2 or 3 minutes to go, we're gonna add the pepperoni on there.
Sick. What are we putting on this thing?
So we're just gonna put some jalapenos. Yep.
These are nice thick cut boys.
Yeah.
What are these called?
We're gonna put some Pequod peppers on here. Yeah.
I've had these stuffed
I'm one of the
cheese.
only ones. Yeah, I fell in love with these. I saw these on a YouTube video once. Pizza maker in Italy was using them. I'm like, I'm gonna try those. So
they're such a good balance between sour, sweet,
little
spicy.
They have a little heat towards the end.
I've seen them also those like little tiny ones. Maybe when they're babies, they look like that. I'm thinking
cherry ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I mean that's it, and then we're gonna put pepperoni on towards the end, and then we're gonna probably finish it off with some mozzarella.
So convection oven.
Yeah. 425.
425 convection oven.
About 19 minutes, and you want to kind of turn the pizza as it's baking.
Got it. Every what, like 5-6 minutes?
Yeah. Cool.
All right, now I play the waiting game.
Yeah. So you see how it's like browning on this side, and it's not browning on this. So you gotta constantly turn it. These pizzas are not that easy to make if you want to do it really well.
Right. Pep drop, baby.
Yeah, I use a lot. Stick this back in the oven.
How long? Much longer?
Probably about 3 or 4 more minutes.
And then it's done?
Yeah, we'll be done.
Wow. Wow. Little fresh white color pop. Nice fresh white cheese flavor. Look at this thing.
And then we're gonna loosen it from the pan and take it out.
Look how easy that is, dude. Oh my God. So immediately out the pan.
Yeah, immediately out the pan.
Oh my God, man. Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Never seen pizza like that before. I would 300% buy a white noise machine that makes that noise.
That's right.
That thing's beautiful. Hell yeah. Dang. It's soft, beautiful. Got the crispy crust and that textural contrast with the bottom there. See those air bubbles for that fermentation? Dude. All right, well, fork and knife.
Try it out, man.
Hell yeah. Oh, whoops. Oh yeah, man.
Everything's fresh.
So fresh. Dude, I love the sauce.
Yeah, I like to let everything kind of speak for itself. I don't add a lot of seasoning to the sauce or anything.
So light. So light.
Yeah, this one's really good.
You know it's good if a man who's made over 3,000 of these pizzas is still stoked on it. You know what I mean?
I don't eat it very often, but it's so good.
Dude, thanks a ton. Learned so much. Can't wait to take what we learned here today to make the best pan pizza at the crib. So,
yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for coming.
Dude, thanks for having us. Bro, this has been very insightful and very fun. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
In addition to Millie's, there are 2 key players that are foundational in basically the invention of this style of pizza. The first is Pequod's. If you're from the city, you definitely know this spot. So they're known for their super puffy crust, their robust toppings, and of course that charred, not burnt, layer of cheese around the rim of the pizza that is so characteristic of this style. That is a thing of beauty, baby. The second is called Burt's Place. Now, Burt's Place is named after the late Burt Katz, who is pretty much credited with creating this style. His style of pizza, very similar to Pequod's because he actually started Pequod's and sold it to somebody before opening Burt's Place. That's really good stuff, man. Really, really nice. Okay, field notes acquired. Let me show you how I'm gonna take the best qualities from each of these establishments to make the best pan pizza possible. Pizza is bread, so we gotta start with the dough. This dough is a relatively low hydration, which means that it's easier to work with, which is great for us. We're gonna start with some H2 Earl, Shugs, all instant yeast. Get in there. Bread flour, And this is just some good old black pepper, which isn't a usual thing in pizza dough. I picked this one up from Pequod's. They put black pepper in their dough. It looks cool. You kind of get some of that peppery heat, that subtle heat, and I don't know, I think it's just like pretty unique and awesome. So we're gonna add it in today. All right, so I like to add the liquids before the flour just because it really makes it a lot easier to kind of incorporate everything together. We're just gonna work this by hand until it all comes together. All right, so once you got like a nice little shaggy ball like this, we're gonna cover this up and let it auto-lease for 20 to 25 minutes. That's just gonna kind of hydrate things, allow that gluten to activate, and make our kneading process a lot easier. Let's pack sass. So we've talked about this in the past, right? When you're talking about pizza sauce styles, there's a big difference between Chicago, which tends to be a little more cooked, robust, and more spiced, and on the sweeter side, versus your New York, which is typically just a little more fresh, right? Minimalist, usually not cooked. Today we're kind of taking the best of both worlds and melding them together, kind of like they do at Millie's. Let me show you. Crushed red tomatoes. We got a little pinch of oregano. Not too much, remember, oregano's strong. A little bit of EVOO. I hate when people call it that. I don't know why I just called it that. Olive oil, garlic, just 1 clove. So far it's pretty New York-y sauce, but usually they don't add a lot of sugar in their sauces, but today we are, because this is going to be a fresh and sweet sauce. And lastly, kosher salt. We're gonna give that a schmixy. And look at that gorgeous, vibrant sauce. So best practice would be probably to make this a day, even 2 days in advance. Leave it in your fridge, let those flavors meld and get to know each other. But you can also just totally use a day of, like we're gonna do today. And it still tastes great. All right, we got our dough auto-leasing, our sauce is done. I wanna talk about a few important tools that are kind of like essential for this style of pizza. Let's start with the pan here. After all, this is pan pizza. Here we just have a Lloyd Pans non-stick 14-inch pan pizza style pan, I guess. Here's the deal. Can you use a cast iron and make pretty good pizza? Absolutely, I've done it myself many times. However, if you're chasing after this style of pizza, this specific Chicago style pan pizza, and you wanna do it right, you gotta pick one of these up. Next up, we just got a pizza rocker here. If you have one of these, that's fine too, or get this, a really long, sharp knife gets the trick done as well. Next up is the spatula. If you're gonna have 2 items on this list, it should be the pan and the spatula. I'm gonna link all this stuff below, so don't worry, but it's basically a super rigid, kind of like commercial burger flipping spatula, and it's great for peeling that pizza crust away and releasing your pie in one piece, which is very important. I'm gonna show you that later. A couple little extracurriculars here. I guess really just one. I don't know, I love this thing. They use these at pizza restaurants. I actually used to use one of these things at a pizza spot that I worked at back in the day. But essentially it just allows you to kind of grip the pan, you know, well, instead of, I don't know, using something like this and then, you know, you're poking into the pizza and you're getting sauce all over your rag and the pan might be hot. So this thing just kind of makes life a little easier. Plus I think it was like $8 on Amazon, so good old made in China. All right, so obviously this isn't really gear, but it is important. Remember what we learned at Millie's?
Outside lid, the lip with pan, take the Crisco, just regular shortening. Oh yeah.
Put that on the bottom.
Yeah, we're gonna use these to set our pan up and ensure that that pizza doesn't stick at all. It's been 20 minutes. We're gonna now add our salt and continue to knead. Remember what I said about low hydration dough? Super easy to work with, man, look at that. So we're gonna knead this for about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast you are at kneading, until some nice gluten has formed and the dough looks nice and smooth. Okay. Your dough can actually be a little lumpy. You don't have to over knead it. You don't wanna make it too tough. It's gonna continue to develop gluten and soften up during its long, cold fermentation. That was creepy. Usually I say, you make the dough if you want to use it the day of, you let it rest in bulk for about, 2 minutes, 2 hours, until it's nearly doubled in size. Sorry guys, we're not doing that today. It's very important that you ferment this dough overnight, better yet for 2 nights, so that it just kind of develops that flavor, gets to the texture that we want it to be, and just makes an incredible pan of pizza. So I'm gonna pop this in a sealable container. And this is going in the fridge for 2 days.
A few moments later.
Look at that, 2 days has passed by. And this is our dough. Look at that, nice and gassy.
Nice.
All right, good old shortening. I'm just gonna be super liberal with this. Though the pan is non-stick, the pizza can still stick, trust me. So we're globbing in a fair amount on the bottom here and on the side walls. Do not forget the sides. Look at that, Bushka's here. Hey Bush, you want some fucking Crisco? We're using Crisco in the pan and Pam cooking spray, but only around the rim. Okay, that thing will release our pizza whether it wants to or not. Now, we're gonna do our best to not mash the dough, but actually try to keep its right side up the entire time as we transfer it. So I'm gonna just take my little skin mittens and work it around the dough like this. Shouldn't be too sticky, should be all right. So we're gonna use our hands to just kind of press that dough out. We want it to reach to the rim of the pan. Now this right here is a very important step. We're chasing after that Millie's style, and to get that, you need to do this. So I'm just gonna take my fingers here and form about a 1 to 2 inch perimeter from the sidewall to the middle of the pizza. Play the bread piano. So we have our dimpled inside, we have our smooth perimeter that's pressed to the wall of our greased pan. From here, there's only one thing left to do. We're almost there. You gotta let this thing proof until it's about halfway up the rim of the actual pan. That could take anywhere from 45 minutes when it's warm and humid in the summertime to, 2-3 hours when it's cold and dry in the winter. All right, so now we can just cover it up and let this proof in a room temperature to warm place until it's doubled. And that is what it should look like. We are ready to apply the toppings. Whoa. So this is about 2 pounds of low fat, low moisture mozzarella cheese. I just went to the store, had the deli counter slice it up for me, and you notice they're pretty thick. That is important. Rob said he likes to use low fat mozz because it's less greasy than the whole milk mozzarella. You can use a blend, you can do straight up high fat, you can do straight up low fat. We're gonna use only the low fat today because that's what I found to be the best result, so. All right, so we're just gonna lay these cheese slices on each other like this, sloping them into the pan. This is extremely important here because that's what's gonna give our pizza its signature crusty, cheesy look. Boom, bomb, bing, bongs, and a do. Now you'll probably notice that this pizza is a little reversey. Usually the sauce is on the bottom, the cheese is on top. Clearly today, that's not how we're doing things. So we're gonna take, this is a 6-ounce ladle. I'm gonna take 1 ladle and 2 ladles. For those of you playing along at home, that's 12 ounces, or what does that say? How many mils? 177 times 2. Bing! That amount. So we are going to work the sauce into a circle, kind of trying to mimic that perimeter. Looking good. Now after all, this is a Chicago style pizza, and my favorite toppings for pizza made in Chicago are these 2 things. We have our spicy giardiniera peppers. It's just pickled Italian spicy peppers and some vegetables. And Italian sausage. Adam, why are you literally adding meatballs to your pizza? Well, usually a smaller sausage on a lot of different styles is kind of what you want, sort of that dime-sized little scraggly chunk, if you will, but today we're gonna go a little more robust because this pizza can handle it, it looks good, and if you go too small with this sausage, it's gonna burn up in the oven. So, on with our sausage. Just gonna add on our chunkage. Beautiful. Then we're just gonna fill the cracks with our drained giardiniera. Sick, 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 that looks good. So we're not gonna use a pizza steel, a pizza stone, or any special gear. We're just gonna pop it right on the grates in a regular old oven. But you can certainly use a pizza stone or a steel. You can certainly add a convection setting. I know Robert said that he cooks his pizzas on convection in the actual pizzeria. We're not doing that today. We're just gonna pop it in the oven. Let me show you. I have my kind of like in the middle high setting, but pretty much the middle. Nothing to it. So we're gonna bake that at 500 degrees for 22 to 25 minutes. All right, so our pizza's in the oven. One thing I wanted to talk about is the finishing cheese. You can use Parmesan, you can use whatever kind of like hard, salty, briny cheese you like. I prefer Pecorino. It's just like a little bit sharper. It's a sheep's milk cheese as opposed to a cow's milk cheese like Parmesan. When you grate it on your pizza, you can just use a microplane like this and get these like kind of pretty, you know, little like classic pasta Italian restaurant strips. Or what I think is a little more like traditional for pizza restaurants, pizzerias, the crumble. Check this out. You can see same cheese, different looking product. Even in the color, which is pretty wild. I wouldn't have guessed that. Boom. Ooh, gorgeous. Now that's a pie. Let me show you what I mean about releasing. We shouldn't have too much trouble, as you can see here. Look at that. Zero stickage. Gorgeous. So yeah, check it out. We have our rim of cheese stick. Little gooey, little crispy. But this right here is what we're talking about. That is what we're going for here. This crispy layer of, it's kind of like a frico, only on that top, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch. And the rest is just beautiful puffy dough. Decisive strokes. Woo-hoo! That's nice, look at that. We got that Millie's cheesy bread crust. We got that classic, kind of like paler, beautiful Pequod's fermented dough with the pepper, and a darker undercarriage a la Burt's Place. A little bit from each of the pizzerias. I think I just gotta take a bite now. Wow. Oh, we dripping, oh, we dripping. All right, we gotta take a bite of that beautiful, look at that. I mean, come on. You have that slight frico, the cloudy, delicious crust. I mean, there's not much more to say here. If you guys have never tried this style of pizza, I highly recommend giving it a go. It's not quite deep dish, it's not grandma, it's not Detroit, it's its own thing. Chicago pan style pizza. TY so much for watching. I want to give a huge shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys rock. Thank you so much for donating over to the grocery fund. Without you guys, this would be a lot harder. If you're not a supporter over there, go check it out. We got a lot of extra stuff going on. If you're not in the Discord, come say what's good in the Discord. Tell me a story. I always like a nice story. If you like the video, like it. If you're new to the chan, consider subscribing to the chan, join the party. And that's all I got for you. So until next we meet. Ciao.